Mr. Bennett would like to proceed with the Buildings and Grounds agenda. First thing we have on the agenda is the Homeville wall. I don't know if all the board members got a chance to get a look at that, but it's coming along very nice, looks very nice. Looks like they're doing a nice job on it. So.
I drove up yesterday to look at it. It looks good.
For committee meetings on the 16th, I believe, we'll have Mrs. Wells give us an update as far as if they're on schedule or off schedule, so we can know where we're at. The CB fencing has started. We're fencing around the play areas for the students. That way they're not wandering off and we're keeping them safe. So Allegheny Fences come in and started that process as well. We'll have Mrs. Wells give us a formal update and timeline as well on the committee. Mr. Esper wanted to talk about increasing our mine subsidence insurance. And I don't know where he ran off.
Gina's walking in now, so I think he's letting her in. You know what it is now?
He has all that information.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is Matt on his way?
He's running a little bit late. He will be here. He's band parent.
Oh, well, shoot. We can't put about each other's kids at this point.
So we just reviewed the Homeville wall, how it's coming. It looks very nice. And for the regular committee meeting, we'll have Ms. Wells give us an update as far as time frame. If they're on time, they're off time, and so forth.
I appreciate it. It does look nice.
Same with the fencing over at CB with the Allegheny fencing company putting the fence up. We'll get an update on that as well. So we're down to the mine insurance that Mr. Esper wanted to speak to.
Yes, the Pennsylvania mine insurance increased the limits you're allowed to get now. You can insure buildings up to $1 million. The current rate, we have $500,000 on every building. I would recommend us raising that to $1 million. Claire Barton appears to be actually over 2 mines that cross. And obviously those buildings are worth more than $500,000 worth of insurance. So it'll almost double the premium to 128 to like 253.
Well, that's what it's asked. Do we have any records of the mines under the buildings or?
Yeah, Claire Barton, according to the mine map on the website, you can go and type in an address and see. It's all potentially under mine, but Claire Barton actually looks to have 2 mine shafts that cross actually directly under the building.
Yeah.
So
Would you recommend all buildings or just Claire Barton?
well, just Claire Barton, but all of them on their maps is they recommend having mine insurance, and we did. And Denny got the most that you could get at the time, but now they've upped it to where you can get $1 million worth of coverage. So it's like $123 extra per building. So
There's mines over 500 too, because we have them over our backyards.
Yeah.
So it's worth it.
Yeah, for that cost.
Yeah.
I recommend.
And I'm going to leave New Emerson at 500,000 since we're hopefully discarding it here shortly.
You all right with that, Tom?
So we will have that on the agenda. The recommendation to increase mine insurance to $1 million per building. Okay, and our last topic of discussion is our marquee. As we know, the marquee out front of the high school is not lit. There was we did go through our insurance, there was a lightning strike that took the computer stuff out. So we did turn that over to the insurance, and we did get a little bit of an adjustment, but I think it's a recommendation from the committee as to start to replace the entire marquee and its control boards, or just fix to get it up and running again. The cost to just fix is,
Cost to just fix it will be our deductible, which is $500 for signs. The cost to replace the whole thing. So it's stated in my email that they sent us a check for $10,763 to get it started because the bid or the repair quote was the worst case scenario because they won't know exactly what's all shot in there until they get in there and start taking it apart. So they gave us that, and so if it exceeds it, then we'll submit bills and get reimbursed less than $500 deductible. If we decide to replace it, we will get an additional check of $5,547 for depreciation to go towards the new sign, and we would get to keep the $10,000 that we got. So the quote for this sign all in was $88,542, less the money we received, and then the additional monies we would get. That would cost us a net of $72,232, which could be taken out of one of our construction funds, which were funded by the bonds that we took out to do projects, the AEM projects that we've done.
So my first question, if we repair it and it does not, it's unrepairable, will we get full replacement costs from the insurance company?
They will repair.
If it's unrepairable, it's total. I'm not. Is 15 the most we're gonna get, or are they gonna give us full replacement?
No, I mean, I
I think usually what happens is they give you the value, you don't get a replacement cost value. You get whatever it's
Depreciation.
worth at that time, and it's a pretty old sign. So I don't know what that number would be.
how old is it?
it's
12
it's 10 years old.
Past its warranty.
Right.
3 years.
I don't know for parts wise how valuable it is.
I'm just asking if you said that's worst case scenario to fix it,
Well, I think that they'll be able to fix it.
but it's my understanding they diagnosed the problem over an iPad.
Yes.
Okay, so nobody's been here to look at it. So I say, look at it and see if we can repair it. It could be $500, it could be,
Well, the insurance company's going to cover
Yeah.
whatever it costs to repair.
Oh, I see what Mr. Bennett's saying, because if they get in there and they find out it's $30,000 to repair, that could get us more money to a new sign.
that's what I'm saying.
I thought that they gave you a figure that this is.
They did give us a worst case scenario based on if everything that possibly could go wrong needs replaced based on a lightning strike, that's what it would cost.
So they're giving us X amount of dollars no matter what.
Too much.
The insurance company.
No, he's only giving us the cost to repair it. If it costs $500, that's all we're getting.
Okay. So I don't understand what you're saying, if we're Christian's
If
example.
it's unrepairable when they get in there,
Okay.
then are we gonna get $40,000? You know, just like when you take a car after an accident, they get in there and like your car.
If it's unrepairable,
We should get
I mean, they're gonna, I don't know how it could be unrepairable.
We don't know what the total value is.
Yeah,
What
but
he's saying is, we think it's 10, if they get in there and it's 25,000 fixed.
At what point does it get total?
25 towards a new sign.
no, I think the quote was, I sent that to everybody, I think it was $18,000 worst case scenario to repair, and then there's labor, so maybe the total was 25,000. I apologize, I don't have that, I emailed that out to everybody, the quote with the labor. So the insurance company's gonna pay up to that point. So if they come in and say, well, it's gonna cost this, and we decide to replace it, we're only getting the 10 plus the 5. I talked to the adjuster, and I was shocked that we would get anything above the 10, to be honest with you. And he said we would get
We'll get
depreciation.
that if we decide to repair or replace, correct?
If we're only gonna be reimbursed for what the cost to repair, less than $500. So if that's 10, that's what we'll get. If it's 20, that's what we'll get. We'll actually submit the bills to them, and they'll keep sending us checks until it's repaired.
My recommendation is to go that route. There's 3 people on here's some money you want. That would be my recommendation to try to repair it. We keep talking about these construction funds, but I've never seen how much money in the construction fund. I know I just voted last month for an obscene amount of money to repair a wall. So I don't know how much money is in the construction fund to even make that suggestion.
I mean, there's enough in to fix the marquee.
Is it clean as out? Is it?
Is there a time frame, Mr. Mashfield, where we have to spend that money? Like, we just can't let it sit in one of our accounts and accrue interest and
What depends where it came from?
we'll bond.
Oh, I believe it's up to 2 years. Depending on
Yeah.
All right, Jeff.
So if that in fact is the law, we have to spend this money within a certain time frame. What happens to it?
The construction fund 219 has 327,184, and the GASA construction fund has 163,205. All monies for projects that we're currently undergoing has already been transferred to the capital projects fund, so those are remaining funds.
$500,000.
We also have a laundry list of projects that we didn't finish. Mrs. Wells has the list of things
Yeah,
that
I
we
mean,
talked about that we
That's to
never,
be considered. Yeah.
you
You
know.
can always move stuff around. We're doing how we-
I think no matter what decision is made, it needs to be made and moved on now, like fast, like yesterday. I mean, I didn't realize how many people rely on that board. And the fact that it's not operating is troublesome to a lot of people. So we need to make a decision and give them direction and move forward. I don't disagree with your logic, Bill. I don't understand why that hasn't been done already.
You know, that's what.
Like, why hasn't, that's been out for what, 2 months? Why hasn't somebody from even Nevco, a representative or whoever handles their maintenance, looked at it? I assume that's what happened, that's how you got a quote? Or they just did a quote based on the information?
Mary Ann took a video of whatever the lighting thing,
The code.
the control, and the guy was able to see what was out in there.
So they know what it's gonna take.
Yeah.
We
So-
are working on-
So our gamble is, do we just repair and then run the risk it's out of warranty that we could be sitting here in 6 months or however amount of time and we're having the same discussion?
My goal in life and my job was always, if it's more than half to replace it, replace it. If it's less than half, repair it. I think we ought to take a crack at repairing it. 10,000 off of 70,000. I think we discussed 18% savings.
Did you have a quote though?
Yeah, I emailed that out.
And what's the quote?
To what? Its worst case was like 25 grand, I think,
So if we
No.
can confirm the worst case, why can't we get 25 grand towards it instead of 15?
because they won't do that.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought the
That's
same.
what I was getting at to begin with. Even if it's unrepairable, if you total a car, you get the Kelly Blue Book fund. So if this thing's
Well, that-
totaled, we should
That's why
get,
we're getting the depreciation if we decided
but
to.
we paid almost $100,000 for this thing. We're only getting 15 grand
It
for it.
was 128,000.
That's a heck of appreciation.
It's 12 years old. I mean,
I feel we need to repair it first. It doesn't, the marquee is not reflective of what's required or needed for our district to operate. We have a laundry list of things, I wish Sandy was here, that we couldn't do because we didn't have it budgeted. I would rather repair something than replace something that was unnecessary. If there's other things that we need, especially considering the repair in the locker room we had, what if we need to repair the other side? What if there's something worse that comes up? I don't know, that's just as a mom thing. I'm always thinking, what's gonna break next?
I can't consciously vote for $70,000 in the middle school falling down. We don't even know if that's getting paid for.
There's that too.
I'd rather try to fix it. And then you talked
well,
about,
that's sending, I don't know if that's sending an accurate message.
I'm just in my feeling.
Well,
It's not falling down.
yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
tracking.
built.
Tracking. My point is, that you talked about speed and getting it done. If we decide to replace it, there's no way that we're gonna just hand over to Nevco. It's gotta go off the bid. So that's gonna slow the process down anyway. So in the
Well,
meantime, if you wanna
don't
get
have to
bids,
put it out for bid, you can use CoStar pricing. And I'm not saying you have to use that, because there's probably other places that have CoStar pricing, but those are approved pricing, and you don't have to go out to bid. I explained that to, I believe, Ms. White, when she asked that question.
okay.
And then there's the cost associated with upgrading whatever IT aspects of it all too, because that's, on our end, it's never cheap. And we don't know what the heck that could be. That's a whole can of worms I don't want to even think about. Hi, Matt, welcome.
We're talking about the marquee.
Yes, sir.
My position is, I don't know, it's like buying a house with whole house air conditioning, and the whole house air conditioning breaks, and you put a window air conditioner in to fix it. If you have a whole house air conditioner, you keep the whole house air conditioner. We didn't buy the whole house air conditioner, but we should maintain it with the old whole house, and that's how I see the marquee. We didn't buy the marquee, it's broke. We have a marquee, it's prominent, it's not, it's there, so we should, I think we should replace it as if it was like a whole house air conditioning system, we would replace it.
But in
Yeah, but
reality,
if
you
you can
don't
fix
need
your
it.
air conditioner for $5,000, we're buying a new one for 20.
Yeah, I feel like we're kicking it down the road a little bit. If we
It's
have the
unrepairable, I'm
funds,
all for buying one, but if it's repairable for 18% of the cost of a new one, it's repaired.
but what's gonna happen when it needs repaired again in 6 months or a year, or?
that's
So
my
you're just gonna-
concern.
Before you know it, you're gonna be at the bottom line you would have been to just replace it.
I
In
can't
that
see,
case, there'll be no offset either from food choice.
I can't see, the rationale that's gonna come of this is that we dropped X amount of dollars on something unnecessary when we don't have X, Y, and Z, be it extra police, extra teachers, that's how it's gonna be equated.
I agree with you. I've been sitting here long enough to know what the perception ends up being versus the reality. But the reality is you can't pay for any of those things out of the fund that this would be supported by.
I understand.
So
But
it
also,
would be our job, if we move forward, which obviously this seems like it's a split thing, it would be our job to let the community know and the residents know that we're not neglecting A, B, and C to do this. It's just a part of doing business. To Matt's point, it's unfortunate. Nobody's really happy about having to do it, but I think we should always, and I said in the email, I think we should always strive to have first-class facilities and run a first-class organization, and upgrading that after 12 years of use is just unfortunately falls on our laps.
but again, we have a list of items, projects that we didn't get to.
If you put them on the table, I'd be willing to vote on them right now also. I'd be willing to move forward with them. We have $500,000. I mean,
That's something we need to talk to
And I would
Steve
like to
about.
look into the terms of that bond as far as the time frame you have to spend it, because we probably have,
Usually 2 years.
we have to be getting close.
And another question I have, this is just stuff I think of, there's a telephone pole smack right next to the marquee now. That's gonna have power lines on it.
Yeah, that's poor.
Is our entrance moving anywhere? Is the road widening? I mean, when this is all done, are we gonna have to move the damn marquee?
Yeah,
No.
no.
We're not moving the wall.
You can't move that.
I'm just, you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah. I wish
If we're getting a new one, if
I
we're
wish we
gonna
would
go get a
have
new
some
one,
say in the placement of those
Agreed.
telephone.
if
those
we're getting a new
utility
one,
lines.
maybe we ought to look at somewhere else to put it.
I mean, that whole structure to recreate that.
What did we say it was $50,000 to build base?
I don't know.
So the new marquee will just be the insert.
Yes, yes,
It's the-
yes.
the board. I would wanna move it.
No.
I mean, unfortunately, they put that freaking telephone pole there, that's unfortunate.
We don't know how it's gonna look when everything's said and done with the new.
With the
The road and
road, the
everything.
road configuration, they gave us blueprints.
I
I
tried
don't
to
think the
look at it. I can't
blueprints
look at it.
show a lot of change.
No, but I can't look at it 2D.
Right.
Right. I don't know if it's elevated, if it's not.
Yeah, I am fiscally as conservative as anybody, ask everybody who knows me, but I feel like this would be just chipping out if we didn't fix it right. And I feel like we'd just be here again in a year, talking about the same thing, and not have enough, maybe not potentially have funding to do it. We didn't break it, we didn't buy it in the first place, but I feel like we need to keep it up. And that's just where I am.
And I know you mentioned, Ms. Englert, about the technology. I think that's advantageous to us. I think getting something that's newer, a newer product that our staff could utilize better. I think it's a pretty tedious process, or it's there's one way only of putting information on there. And I believe Ms. Geary's the one who operates that board now. The only way she could do it is if she comes into her office and on one of her computers goes on there and physically types it in. Now, I think a new one would allow her to do that remotely. And she's had to come in on evenings and weekends and to, update information that we needed to get out there to the community. So I think that would be an added bonus rather than a detractor, is, the increased technology that will come with the new one.
And I think I said that, through conversations, either an email or otherwise, but like, if the new system, from what I understand in reading the proposals, comes with this new software and that it's modern, and it allows more people to be able to use it. So right now, it's one person who can use it. And I'm for that too.
And, it is unfortunate that a lot of times we have to have discussions about spending money that doesn't necessarily directly impact the education process, but this marquee does impact the entire school district. I mean, every group has an opportunity to broadcast things on there, and residents and everything else. So I don't look at it as a foolish spending. I really don't.
Yeah, and I think part of the brand, I'm gonna have to keep injecting myself, sorry, Tony.
That's all right.
But it's like, we need to maintain and improve our brand as a borough. And I feel like driving by that, I was just there, I was picking my daughter up from the band. It's hard to see that thing sitting there out dark. And let's say we do fix it, it still isn't the best quality compared to what's out there today as far as like vibrancy goes. And it's not usable, we can only have one person use it. So I say take it as an opportunity that we get some insurance down payment money as a kind of like a, and it didn't just break on us and we're not paying the full price. I think we take this as an opportunity to replace it.
So, I apologize for this, but this is the first committee meeting that I've been into that we actually have an argument, a difference of opinion. How does this work? So we make a recommendation and the whole board votes on it anyway.
I hate to do this, but these three gentlemen make enough money. I would like their opinion or recommendation, and I think we would take ours and theirs back to the full board.
But what I'm saying is, in the meeting, there's either gonna be, we recommend that we replace the board, or there's gonna be we recommend we fix the board, right? And all 9 of us are gonna vote on it anyway, correct?
Yeah.
Well, and just remember now, after we're in these new restrictions from the Sunshine Act, that we have to have some kind of directional stuff on our agenda. So we'll put on there in the marquee. If we can't come to a consensus on a recommendation from the board, we'll have to leave it a little open-ended to repair or replace the marquee at X cost, But
So I guess if, just say we went with a full replacement, you're saying that there are vendors out there that we could use through CoStars that would forego the bidding process.
right, so
So
that
would speed
original,
it up.
well, that original, board was not from Novco, it was from Boss.
It's Nevco, because it's on it, it's a little, the brand is Nevco, I don't know who put it in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they put it in.
yeah, so you can go online and go to CoStars. I'm sure they're not the only company, they're the prominent company in the state that does it. So you would think they probably have the best prices, but if it made everybody feel better, we could get another price and see what the replacement value from someone else would be. Now, it seemed like we were getting a discount anyway, I don't know why that is, but,
What would,
Well, the fact that it's out of warranty, anybody can repair it, right?
Yeah, anyone can repair it. I mean, it has to be
That was
something
gonna be my
competent.
question. How would we go, if we went the repair route, how do we determine who does that?
Well, Nevco would do, because the insurance company's covering it, they submitted the
Yeah,
quote.
because it's their
It's
board.
their board.
Yeah, I'd have them
I
repaired.
think what Mr. Bennett was saying earlier, is that he was saying, how do we know how much, like, if we got in there, and there wasn't just $15,000, what if there was 30? Would the insurance company possibly give us 30 towards it? Mr. Esper didn't think that that was a possibility. Is they're creating the, value at like $5,000 on top of the 10. They're probably estimating the value of it completely at about. But then we said if it was $20,000, that they were gonna pay $20,000. So if they're gonna have to pay 30 to fix it, I don't see why they wouldn't give you 30 as the offset.
That's why.
But that's not what they're telling us, right? They're telling
Telling
us,
us it could be up 25, and they're only giving us 15 towards the.
I mean, it's like trying to repair a 15-year-old television, like, I just don't.
I think
I don't know why
Mr. Bennett's question was,
you
what
bought
if
it
we get in there and it's not repairable?
15 years ago, it was $500, and today you buy it for $500, it just so happens to be better.
That's my question, Matt. If you get in there and it's not repairable, we're leaving insurance money on the ground.
I don't, yeah,
I don't understand.
I don't understand. There's replace it, which would be replace the whole thing. Like the guts, I would imagine, the control board, the whole thing.
The LED, all the LEDs
all
that
the
are on
equipment
it,
behind it.
better
Could be
clarity.
wrong, but nobody has came to look at this board yet. Mary Ann sent them a FaceTime video of what she's seeing, and they said, oh, that's gonna be 15,000 to fix.
Well, I
They
didn't
actually
know
said
that.
it's 25.
Yeah, I emailed that.
I don't understand that.
I didn't know that. I mean, I would have somebody take a look at it and give us a solid number as to exactly what's going on with it. I mean, it's got power, there's a little light going.
Oh, you can see the power.
Is there, I mean, you would know better than I, could they remotely, is there a code that's coming back to them that they could tell you, this is what's wrong with
I
it?
doubt it.
I know. Is
If
it,
you can't change it from, without being in the building to change what's on it, I doubt that you can kind of, log into it from remotely.
I'm sure Mecca would come look at it if we asked them.
Again, my concern is time. I mean, now here this is gonna get until October already, and we're not gonna have made a decision yet.
Well, again, I think they priced it out as the worst case scenario, is everything that could go bad from a lightning strike went bad. But it's not the board itself, it's all,
Then why are we only getting 15 instead of 25?
There's nothing wrong with the
What's
board.
that?
Why are we?
Why are we only getting 15 instead of 25?
because they know that, that there's a chance that we may replace it and not repair it. So they gave us the money to start it, and I asked the insurance adjuster if we decided to replace it, is that all we're gonna get is $10,000? He said, no, we'll send you an extra 55 and change for depreciation. And that's what we'll give you to put towards replacing it.
5,500.
Yeah.
So there's
additional.
15.
So
So
the
it'd
town,
be like 16 grand.
I don't know.
yeah, 16,310.
It costs 25 to fix it, they're gonna give us 24.5. But if we replace it, they're only giving us
Yes.
15.
That's what I don't understand.
I don't understand.
What if they, to your point earlier, I think, what if they told you, if they got in there and said, this is gonna cost 30 to repair it, it's not what, we're not doing that. Here's
Then
your
we
fif-
should-
there's your $15,000
That's what
check.
I'm saying. If it costs 30 to repair it, we should get 30 from insurance company.
It's not gonna work that way.
Because of
I know that's how it
depreciation.
works.
I don't understand.
Not,
That's what
not,
insurance does. It fixes what's broken, less your deductible.
Sure.
well, the way the quote was written, it was, again, worst case scenario. So they gave us money to start. Now, the adjuster had a conversation with someone from Nevco, and I think they said that the whole thing needs replaced. So when they cut a check, they cut it on the lower end. And so again, they're giving us the,
I think that's-
Well, I've never dealt with this in my personal life, but if you total your car, they're only gonna give you what it's worth, not what it would cost to fix it.
Exactly, so if they're only giving us 15, then they're not gonna cover the 25. So what I'm saying is something's not right there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm confused.
They are, they're gonna cover it.
Okay, well then why wouldn't they give us that amount toward the new one?
Because it doesn't work that way.
That's
Because the
exactly
way
how it
the
works.
quote
That's
wasn't
exactly
written.
how
If it don't work that way, then fix it.
The quote was written for the repair, it wasn't for the replacement.
Yes.
Correct, that's why.
So I think
And
that.
because nobody came out to look at it, this could say for sure, they gave the worst case, and so the insurance company's given us X to start it.
Right.
It will continue until we get it fixed.
So we could keep fixing this thing up to 25,000, and that's what we'll get. But if we
Well,
don't
we're not.
try to fix it, we're only gonna get 15.
If we replace it.
Yes. We're
Yes.
replacing.
It shouldn't matter. That's
I
not
agree.
the way it's-
All right, well, I mean, we, all right, whatever.
I mean, that's what the guy said. I mean, he's the adjuster.
Oh, I'm not,
Yeah, I mean,
Well, we
Bargaining
should write
to
it
it.
down and send it
Well,
to
then
us, not just
I'll
say.
call you.
I would have NAPCO come here.
Yeah, I would take a look at whatever that 25 was written on
Okay,
paper.
I mean, I think, I'm pretty sure the guy knows how to do his job.
Clearly not.
I mean, I don't know. You're right. The six of us have all this, the plethora of insurance experience to tell him he's
It's
wrong.
also his job to try to pay as little as possible on the claim.
I filed numerous homeowners claims. I mean, it might be different than.
I'm just saying, I feel like we're beating him up for relaying the information to us. He's just,
Not Joe.
It's not
All right,
Joe.
well,
It's
No,
not
no, no.
Joe.
I'm
I'm
not,
just saying, look, we need to
Insurance
move
guy.
on. All right, we need to contact the insurance guy.
I think we need
So,
more clear options.
Chris, so you could call him tomorrow.
Do we have a quote? The quote's 25.
Yeah, I emailed the quote to everybody. I'm guessing, I don't have it sitting there.
And personally, I don't know what the hurry is. I mean, you can get the scores online in the schedule online.
That's my point. It's
I
not a
don't know-
detriment to the
I don't know
district
why we
in
gotta have
this
this done
sense.
tomorrow. It's,
No child is utilizing this.
Would
for
it be
kids.
beneficial to have a rep from Nevco come and give their
I would
work
like to see
session
that, yeah.
and just tell them why, you know?
And of insurance, both.
yeah, because in this meeting, I just heard there's nothing wrong with the board, it's the
I mean,
wiring.
you guys seem to have parents call you all the time about stuff. I don't really get filled that many phone calls, and I've had 3 people make comments to me. I'll show you the text messages. When do you guys plan on fixing this board? And they don't even have kids in school. They just think it's an eyesore, and they utilize that for information.
All of that information is also on the website.
I mean, that's kind of what I mean, I'm just, you
So,
know,
so we don't fix it, or let's say we fix it for super cheap. That money we save, what's that going to?
Well, that was my point.
That's what Sandy needs to tell us.
We have a
We're all
laundry
fixed.
list of projects that we were only able to do so many before we were, running out of funds. So if we have money that needs to be spent, we need to go back to the projects that were board
Are
approved.
we running out of funds in the construction fund and all this stuff?
No.
Okay,
Well,
It's just a matter of getting to everything, and the wall is the big one.
Yeah.
what else, I mean, do you have an idea, Gina, do you have any idea what's on there?
I have it written down at home, I don't recall offhand. I know there was other issues with, I wanna say bleachers at Homeville,
Yeah.
lockers, things like that. So,
I mean,
that's
I would
just
have to
off the top of
say
my head.
that probably over the, with this big project, we've knocked the big ticket items out. There's probably, to your point, there's probably little things like that that need a hug or need a hand, but,
Is the gym floor paid for?
but I would wanna see what that list is and where this, because I bet some of those things on the list aren't as high of a priority as this thing. And some of them are higher of a priority, I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, we can't assume everything is more important than the board from the high school, because it doesn't look.
Well, I agree it should
understandable.
work.
Yeah.
No, I agree it should work. I just think it should work for 15,000 instead of 80,000.
At the end of the day, I'm not sweating that, I'd rather make sure that we have money if we need to repair something on the fly, like the ceiling in the locker room or something like that coming up again,
Well, that's repaired.
she's
Right.
an
Yeah, that
example.
turned out nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't disagree that. Joe said in his email to us about, and I take his opinion as he's taking into on that list when he gives that opinion. Therefore, I'm in favor of doing kind of the longer term fix versus a shorter term, less expensive fix. And that's just my opinion.
understandable. I appreciate
And I
that.
think whatever Joe says, he's kind of looking at the whole, because he's a man of pinch and pennies. So
No,
I trust
respect
his
you, Joe.
opinion,
We
right?
disagree.
He's not, if he said we couldn't afford it, he would say we couldn't.
So we're at a
To your
step,
point though, Bill, would you be more inclined to do a replacement if we went back, got a hard number and got a little bit more money towards the replacement?
Yeah, like I said, if you
You
can
would
get
be
up to
for
like
the
30-40% of the cost,
Yeah.
but 18% of replacement cost is nothing.
I just don't want to be sitting here in 2 years looking for $100,000 to replace.
Well,
it.
my fear would be recommending, let's repair it, it's $500, and we pass this money up, and then 6 months from now, the whole thing, for whatever reason, just the boards die, and then we're stuck replacing it,
Anyway,
and then, you know, you guys are going to be saying, well, that was your recommendation.
That's understandable.
I mean,
so we're at a stalemate.
everybody's right. I wish NAVCO would come and tell me, you know, give me a recommendation. You know, somebody that knows, I don't know nothing about it. You know, when my TV breaks, I go to Best Buy and buy a new one. But I'm not spending $80,000 for it.
Yeah,
sorry?
as well as the IT costs to upgrade all the cable and everything.
Yeah, we're not
That,
We don't even know about that yet.
What's that?
The upgrade costs for IT and is
and for
that all
everything,
included in
it
that
would be,
price?
It's all there.
Yeah,
It's all-
yeah, that's the whole, right?
that's Cloudcast, whoever else we're gonna need.
yeah, that was the installation company that was this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I work more into it. I for sure do not feel that's all of it. No way.
Do you want assurances that any unforeseen costs are included in that part, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Gina, I was talking to Christian.
It was what I brought up earlier about updating the wires and so forth, back to the aspects of it all.
You mean the cabling and
Yes,
power?
to run everything, I mean, something brand new would require, I'm sure, an upgrade all around. And when we upgraded things to the stadium, there was an influx of cost to repair everything IT wise on that end. I'm assuming it's gonna affect them at the Marquee end as well. So,
I was told that the current wiring from the school to the guard shack to the marquee will work with this. It's the proper wiring.
Well, we've been told.
We just have to
Yeah.
get someone to change something in the building, which would be no cost.
But we want,
Connect it differently.
I would like that in maybe a statement of work instead of a word of mouth or something, right? Like it says, hey, the agreed work is gonna be, this is the scope, here are the assumptions, like all of that written down. And I just think, I don't think we're ready to make a decision on this. It sounds like we need more information and we need people to come in and talk to us. And
So we should have them here for our work session meeting and present like a proposal to the board.
Would it be possible, Joe, to have them come in and give us a hard quote, so we can take that hard quote and back to the insurance company and see exactly what the total amount they would give us is?
For replace,
For
for a repair,
replace.
for a repair or for replace.
It should be the same number, is what Bill and I keep trying to say.
Yeah,
That shouldn't matter, because if you're willing to give it towards the replacement, you should be willing to give it towards the repair, you should be going to a replacement. If they say though, our cutoff is 45,000 because that's
Is this,
the worst value of it, then that might be the
Okay.
case. But
is their number based off of information they received from Nevco already?
Yes.
So exactly.
I submitted the work estimates to them and the labor and everything.
community.
But it sounds like Mr. Fisher's saying.
So that's not Mr. Kitcher, it's the adjuster from
The
Liberty.
adjuster, whoever that is, if we keep fixing it, he would keep sending checks until it's fixed.
Yeah, they would pay whatever up to the quote that they gave, they would pay, they know what that number is, if it's 25 grand, and they're giving us, again, 10 to get started. Because they know it's 10 years old, and they know that we may decide to replace it. That's why they'll give us the extra money. So they're not gonna give us,
They're saying worst case scenario, so if Devco comes in and says it is worst case scenario, it's 25.
well, I think if they're not gonna know until they start fixing it. They're not gonna start fixing it until we say we want to fix versus replace.
What do we do from here, Mr. President?
All right, so direction moving forward, we'll have someone come in for the work session with the proposal, hard numbers. Mr. Esper, Mrs. Damasio will look into the insurance company once we get those hard numbers. And then we'll bring back some more information to that.
Joe, in the meantime, could you look into CoStarz, see what else is out there?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know who else does signs. I know Nevco sent the CoStarz their agreement, their pricing, their CoStarz pricing.
So just ask.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not a bad idea.
Anything else for buildings and grounds?
If you could just put on there for Sandy to update us on the home bill fence. I know there's an orange barricade fence still there.
Oh, the iron fence.
It just frustrates me that this thing was ran over almost a year ago.
The crossing guard today asked me about, and I don't know if this would be considered buildings and grounds or safety, but the, school speed limit signs in Homeville, now that we don't have the 2 pre-K classes, the times are not reflective of when the kids are coming and going. I don't know,
That's okay, we're just gonna contact.
you know, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not dire, but just worth mentioning.
And, high school soccer field in the back went 2 weeks without being cut, and then they just weed whacked it and laid all the grass along the sidelines. So when the girls were trying to kick the ball in, it just stopped. I have pictures if you need.
Did you call it? Yeah.
Got that call.
They were cutting grass on Sunday, which I thought was strange. At Homeville, when I was walking dogs.
They were cutting it this morning as well.
Yeah,
Well, it's been, there's been.
it's been goofy, that's what I attributed it to, but I don't recall ever seeing them late on Sunday doing it.
Okay, very good. Anything else?
Thank you.
That's all I got, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Souls. Sorry I was late.
Me too.
Meeting adjourned?
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned, thank you.